Salam sejahtera, anda sedang menyaksikan Niaga AWANI bersama saya. Seperti biasa, kami akan bawakan pelbagai sudut pandangan, idea serta cadangan mengenai perkembangan terkini niaga dan ekonomi dari tempatan hingga ke antarabangsa. Sudah pasti banyak perkembangan yang akan kami bawakan selama 1 jam 30 minit di bawah. Kami akan bawakan juga bagaimanakah prestasi terkini ringgit, bursa Malaysia dan juga pelbagai lagi. Dan saya akan mulakan antara iaitu statistik yang terkini yang telah dikeluarkan oleh Jabatan Perakaan Malaysia Dosa mengenai statistik upah gaji pada tahun 2022. Sudah tentu kita nak lihat bagaimanakah iaitu purata ataupun gaji penengah yang dapat kita saksikan ketika ini. Seperti yang dapat saya kongsikan mengenai data daripada Jabatan Perakaan Malaysia untuk kita lihat bagaimanakah penengah dan purata gaji dan upah bulanan pekerja Malaysia dari tahun sebelum pandemik COVID-19 pada tahun 2016 hinggalah tahun 2022. Kalau anda teliti daripada sini, kita dapat saksikan daripada 2016 hinggalah 2019 kita dapat saksikan peningkatan gaji iaitu penengah warna kuning dan warna biru adalah purata. Dan kalau kita teliti di sini, ia meningkat daripada penengah 3% hinggalah mencecah 58% pada tahun 2019, dan purata juga kita dapat saksikan peningkatan gaji penengah iaitu meningkat daripada 68% hinggalah pada tahun 2019. Namun pada tahun 2020 kita dikena iaitu pandemik COVID-19 di mana purata dan penengah gaji kita turun. Kalau anda teliti daripada 2,442 iaitu gaji kita turun kepada 2,062. Dan ini adalah pada tahun 2020. Namun pada tahun 2021 ia telah meningkat sedikit di mana ia telah mengalami peningkatan pada fasa pemulihan iaitu kita dapat lihat penengah dan purata. Penengah meningkat iaitu sebanyak RM2,250. Namun kita dapat saksikan juga purata juga meningkat kepada RM3,037. Pada tahun 2022 kita dapat saksikan trend peningkatan terhadap gaji penengah dan purata untuk tahun 2022. Seterusnya kalau kita saksikan iaitu bagaimanakah penengah dan purata gaji, upah dan gaji mengikut kumpulan umur. Kalau anda teliti di sini, antara kumpulan umur yang mengalami antara gaji yang tertinggi yang kita dapat saksikan di sini berada dalam kumpulan umur 45 hingga 54 tahun. Kalau kita saksikan pada petengah iaitu sebanyak RM3,196 iaitu lebih tinggi berbanding tahun 2021 sebanyak RM3,061. Namun kalau purata pada tahun 2022 kumpulan umur 45 hingga 54 tahun iaitu sebanyak RM4,081. Dan ini adalah kumpulan umur yang tertinggi merangkumi gaji penengah dan purata gaji dan upah. Dan yang paling terendah kita dapat saksikan di kalangan umur 15 hingga 24 tahun dengan gaji penengah sebanyak RM1,527 manakala purata RM1,808. Seterusnya kalau kita nak saksikan bagaimana penengah dan purata gaji dan upah bulanan mengikut iaitu pencapaian pendidikan. Di sini ada 4 pencapaian yang kita dapat saksikan. Sudah tentu tertiary yang paling tinggi dan mempunyai golongan gaji yang paling tinggi. Kalau anda saksikan iaitu pada tahun gaji penengah pada tahun 2022 iaitu sebanyak RM3,890 manakala purata sebanyak RM4,045. Dan paling rendah adalah tiada pendidikan rasmi iaitu sebanyak RM1,357 untuk gaji dan purata penengah dan purata sebanyak RM1,522. Dan ini adalah penengah dan purata gaji dan upah bulanan mengikut pencapaian pendidikan. Selain itu, kalau kita nak lihat daripada pencapaian pendidikan, bagaimanakah penengah dan purata gaji dan upah mengikut tahap kemahiran? Sudah tentu kalau kita berada dalam kumpulan mahir, gaji kita amat tinggi iaitu penengah sebanyak RM4,506, purata RM5,000. Diikuti juga dengan separuh mahir dan berkemahiran rendah. Dan kita dapat saksikan di sini iaitu penengah dan purata gaji dan upah bulanan mengikut jantina iaitu lelaki adalah lebih tinggi berbanding wanita di mana lelaki penengah sebanyak RM2,493 berbanding 2021, peningkatan daripada 2021, dan purata sebanyak RM3,262 manakala perempuan gaji penengah adalah RM2,301 dan purata sebanyak RM3,140. Dan kita nak lihat bagaimanakah penengah dan purata gaji dan upah mengikut strata iaitu sudah tentu bandar dan luar bandar lebih iaitu perbezaan dia, bandar adalah lebih tinggi dan kita dapat saksikan luar bandar sedikit rendah. iaitu bandar gaji penengah sebanyak RM2,596 dan purata RM3,351, manakala luar bandar sebanyak RM1,580 dan purata sebanyak RM2,393. Dan ini adalah prestasi mengikut prestasi upah dan gaji bulanan mengikut strata pada tahun 2022. Tambah lagi kalau kita nak saksikan penengah dan purata gaji upah mengikut sektor mana yang mempunyai gaji penengah yang tinggi. Kalau kita saksikan di sini, paling tinggi adalah perlombongan dan perkuarian. Sebanyak penengah RM4,268 pada tahun 2022 dan purata sebanyak RM5,247. Dan antara gaji yang kita boleh saksikan yang paling rendah adalah daripada sektor pertanian. Penengah sebanyak RM1,504 dan purata RM1,927. Dan ini adalah penengah dan purata gaji dan upah bulanan mengikut sektor. Dan kalau kita nak bandingkan, bagaimana pula dengan iaitu setiap negeri? Berapakah gaji penengah dan puratanya? Kalau kita saksikan antara yang paling tinggi gaji penengah dan upah gaji pada tahun 2022, kita dapat saksikan adalah negeri wilayah Persekutuan Putrajaya, iaitu gaji penengah sebanyak RM3,916, manakala purata sebanyak RM4,666 untuk tahun 2022, diikuti juga dengan wilayah Persekutuan Kuala Lumpur sebanyak RM3,276 untuk penengah dan RM4,207 untuk gaji purata. Manakala antara negeri mempunyai penengah dan purata gaji dan upah antara yang terendah yang kita dapat saksikan adalah Terengganu dengan penengah RM1,743 dan purata RM2,657 pada tahun 2022, diikuti juga dengan Kelantan antara yang terendah dengan gaji penengah pada tahun 2022 telah mencatatkan RM1,681, termasuk juga dengan purata RM2,653. Dan itu adalah serba sedikit rangkuman yang boleh saya kongsikan yang telah diterbitkan oleh Jabatan Perakam Malaysia mengenai statistik upah dan gaji pada tahun 2022, dan sudah sedia berada dalam talian untuk kupas lebih lanjut adalah Profesor Sekolah Perniagaan dan Ekonomi SP UPM merupakan Profesor Dr. Rusmawati. Saya nak ucapkan terima kasih Profesor. Ini adalah pertama kali Profesor iaitu sertai kami. Saya nak ucapkan terima kasih kerana sudi meluangkan masa bersama kami. Apa khabar Profesor?
Ya, baik. Terima kasih Nina, dan saya juga ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Astro untuk program yang sedikit.
Baik, Prof. Gaji itu adalah statistik upah dan gaji 2022 yang telah kita dapat saksikan oleh DOSM dan tidak lama lagi iaitu Belanjawan 2024. Dan kita nak bercakap mengenai gaji progresif yang semakin hangat dibincangkan kalau kita lihat ketika ini. Mungkin Prof boleh kongsikan apakah isu utama yang menyebabkan kerajaan mahu meletakkan peruntukan untuk gaji progresif?
Okey. Baik. Tadi Nina telah terangkan kepada semua tentang purata gaji dan median gaji kan. Okey, jadi sekarang ni sebelum kita faham lebih lanjut tentang apakah dia gaji progresif ini, saya ingin menekankan elemen penting di dalam gaji progresif ini iaitu kemahiran. Bagaimana gaji progresif ini sebenarnya memberi kesan kepada pekerja dan majikan, iaitu dari segi pekerja apabila mereka meningkatkan kemahiran mereka, bila kemahiran meningkat, produktiviti meningkat. Produktiviti meningkat seterusnya ada kemajuan dalam kejayaan mereka dan akhirnya pendapatan boleh ditingkatkan. Jadi gaji progresif ini, peningkatan gaji itu mesti seiring dengan peningkatan kemahiran. Itu elemen yang penting. Dan bagi majikan juga, apabila berlaku produktiviti, senang cakapnya macam kita kata untung meningkatlah. Bila untung meningkat itu bermakna kata nanti majikan mampu untuk bayar pekerja. Jadi, tapi kita bila berlaku begini, kita pun hairan. Kenapa perlu ada campur tangan kerajaan? Kenapa kerajaan perlu letakkan satu bajet untuk gaji progresif ini? Sebab ini disebabkan oleh pasaran buruh kita sebenarnya dia tidak mampu untuk meningkatkan peningkatan gaji tersebut. Okey, jadi disebabkan itu kerajaan terpaksa campur tangan, di mana kerajaan terpaksa meletakkan satu amount daripada subsidi kerajaan tersebut untuk membantu majikan dalam memberikan gaji progresif. Tapi di akhirnya, di dalam masa panjang kita harapkan apabila kemahiran meningkat, akhirnya kita mempunyai stok human capital ataupun pekerja yang berkemahiran tinggi. Jadi kalau Nina yang telah Nina tunjukkan tadi, terdapat walaupun gaji purata itu meningkat, namun golongan yang mempunyai para mahir tadi, ada tadi saya lihat Nina share tentang data para mahir itu golongan mereka ini sebenarnya sangat besar. Golongan mereka 62.6% dan gaji purata mereka adalah 1,600 lebih saja. Kan? Jadi di situ kita lihat gaji itu adalah gaji di bawah. Walaupun berlaku peningkatan gaji, tetapi gaji itu masih lagi berada pada tahap yang rendah. Jadi di situ kita terdapat satu track gaji kita dekat situ, jadi masih lagi rendah. Jadi untuk menjadikan negara maju atau negara berpendapatan tinggi, penduduknya mestilah berpendapatan tinggi juga. Jadi disebabkan itu kerajaan memperkenalkan gaji progresif yang selari dengan pemahiran. Tapi dengan syarat pekerja nak naik gaji mesti ada pemahiran. Begitu. Jadi kalau kita lihat, bila kita bincang secara purata berlaku kenaikan, memang kita tak tahu. Tetapi bila kita lihat golongan tersebut sebenarnya besar. 62.6% lebih separuh mahir tadi, purata gaji mereka hanyalah sekitar 1,600 ke 2,000. Data-data yang telah dikongsikan tadi. Dan juga kompensasi employee. Apa maksud kompensasi employee ataupun kita panggil dengan share, iaitu labor pekerja kita ni, kita hanya tumbang kepada pendapatan negara sebanyak 32.4% pada tahun 2022, bermaksud rendah berbanding dengan negara-negara yang maju telah capai 45% dan sebagainya. Kerajaan telah sasarkan kepada 45%. Jadi di sini kerajaan akan naik.
Prof, kita tahu dengan pelaksanaan gaji progresif ni, apa benefit faedah dia dan apa langkah yang patut diambil oleh pekerja sendiri?
Okey. Faedah dia memang banyak, iaitu dalam jangka masa panjang, ianya akan menyebabkan berlaku stok human capital yang berkemahiran tinggi, dan pekerja sendiri seharusnya mengambil langkah untuk meningkatkan kemahiran mereka. Tetapi kita sekarang ni, di Malaysia sekarang ni, kalau kita nak tahu bagaimana pekerja nak ambil langkah tersebut, mereka boleh pergi kepada HRD Corp baru ni telah mengeluarkan satu indeks training, di mana indeks training ni saya rasa sangat bagus dan tepat pada masa bila kita nak rancangkan gaji progresif ini, sebab indeks training ini memberi garis panduan kepada majikan dan pekerja untuk mensasarkan berapakah peningkatan gaji yang mungkin akan berlaku. Sebab kita kena ingat, Nina, sebelum kita laksanakan gaji progresif ini, majikan dan pekerja sebenarnya kena faham tentang, pekerja kena faham apakah career path mereka, dan majikan juga kena faham bagaimana caranya untuk memberikan kemahiran kepada pekerja. Sebab dalam gaji progresif, sebagai contoh yang berlaku di Singapura, mereka telah meletakkan daripada cleaning yang biasa tu boleh meningkat kepada tahap yang lebih tinggi. Dalam erti kata lain, sebenarnya dia memberi indikator bahawa negara juga atau majikan kena invest untuk teknologi tinggi. Bila kita invest untuk teknologi tinggi, barulah penciptaan kerja dalam bidang teknologi tinggi itu boleh dihasilkan. Kalau kita terus saja tak invest, bermakna kata nanti keadaan tersebut akan terus stagnan lah. Maksudnya gaji tak akan naik sebab tak ada kemahiran tinggi. Jadi di situ sebenarnya langkah kerajaan bila buat gaji progresif ni, dalam dia serampang banyak mata lah, bukan setakat dua mata, banyak mata. Sebab dalam sesama sebenarnya untuk meningkatkan teknologi juga. Sebelum ni kita push bagaimana nak push teknologi. Sangat susah nak push kepada perubahan teknologi. Namun sekarang kita tengok impact daripada COVID juga, dan negara kita telah move forward ke arah itu. Ya, Nina?
Baik, sudah tentu pelaksanaan gaji progresif ini kita boleh cakap bukanlah mudah. Banyak perkara yang perlu diteliti, namun dengan usaha jati semangat yang berterusan, kita berharap iaitu ada progres yang kita dapat lihat dalam masa terdekat. Sekali lagi saya nak ucapkan terima kasih kepada Profesor Dr. Rusmati Said, merupakan Profesor Sekolah Perniagaan dan Ekonomi SPEUPM, dan semua ini akan kami rangkumkan dalam astroawani.com dan semua platform digital Astro Awani, dan kami akan berhenti rehat seketika, kembali selepas ini.
Games officially declared open. full right now.
He wants this title.
That was superb Malaysian hockey.
Absolutely spectacular way.
In a new Asia record.
Too good, too strong, too fast.
How about that one though?
He looks so confident start to finish.
Let our roar be heard. Sukan Asia ke-19 Hangzhou 2022. Stream liputan paling komprehensif secara langsung di Astro.
I've been pulled through time. It's him.
You better run!
War is on its way. Come on, you're the god of mischief.
Loki Season 2, 6 Oktober, stream di Astro Box baru. 3, 2, 1. Bersedia dengan kamera anda. 7 Oktober, 4 petang, Pavilion KL. Kami menantikan anda.
Welcome back to Niaga AWANI. We're going to proceed to our next segment with Adobe's Future of Digital Experiences report. Is a global survey produced in partnership with Advenice, examining digital experiences across multiple dimensions, including the digital economy, experience, frontiers, channels and content, and generative AI. The global survey of 13,000 consumers and 4,250 marketing and customer experience professionals, including Malaysians, outlines the broad impact of breakthrough technologies and consumers and businesses, highlighting new frontiers for living, working and shopping online. And to discuss further, we have ready on the line is Simon Dale, Managing Director of Adobe C and Korea. I want to say thank you very much, Simon, for joining us. How are you?
I'm good, Nina. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, fantastic to have you here. Based on Adobe research, Simon, 84% of APAC consumers agreed the digital economy plays a role in their lives, with more than half, 53%, saying it plays a strong role. Why has there been a shift in awareness of the digital economy amongst consumers, and what does this mean for organizations?
Well, I think it's a maturing market position for most people that they find that the digital way of engaging with products and services is convenient. The majority of our survey respondents just like the fact that they can quickly get access to what they want to on digital channels from brands, from companies, from governments. And then there's also an ever-increasing number of people, about 20%, using this as a way to express themselves, to be more creative, using those channels to produce their own content. And then, of course, there's another group of people who really see it as a way of getting connected with everybody and being part of their community. You know, it was that the original social channels were more global, but now there's many, many more local environments where people can use this as a community platform as well.
All right, we must acknowledge that the digital economy is changing the expectation of for customer experience as well, despite worsening economic environments. In fact, almost 3/4, 72% of Malaysian consumers say their expectations are heightened by a worsening economic climate compared to 61% in APAC. How does this shift affect the strategies that businesses need to have moving forward?
Well, I think if you look at what businesses are been doing is they've been getting onto digital, and they've been working out what that means for them over the past few years. Most businesses now are starting to understand much more about what the power of engaging digitally is and how you can build a better relationship with your customer. Those smart brands, the brands that have really paid attention to this, are also building in this aspect of trust, of thinking long-term about the relationship for their brand, whether it's in a traditional sense, if they're still a offline street kind of based business, or they're fully digital, or it's a blend of these things. You need to think about building in your reputation, managing your reputation really well, through these digital channels. And this is where we see businesses now starting to take it seriously, because customers have ever increasing demands and expectations that the digital experience is going to be better, because this technology is improving and there's many more great experiences in the digital world for them to consume. And so brands are now having to catch up with that and really think more about that long-term relationship with their customers.
Based on Adobe Future of Digital Experiences report, what are the digital experiences Malaysian customers want to see in 2023 and beyond? And are Malaysian brands on track to meeting this customer experience expectation from consumers? How can they stay ahead of the curve?
Yeah, so as I said, taking care of your brand and really curating that customer experience digitally is super important. And we are seeing Malaysian brands take this seriously. For example, the Genting Group, during the pandemic, took the opportunity to rebuild and reinvent its digital channels. They're using some of our Adobe solutions to power their website and their experience with their customers, and really thinking about the quality of the content that is put in those digital channels, the reliability that the channel is always available and its very good performance, and also seriously taking a view of personalizing that experience. So not just having the same page and the same kind of functions on the website for everybody, really knowing that if it's a customer they know coming back again to look at going to the resorts or trying to find some information to do some bookings, then they're remembering who that is and they're helping that person. They're showing that they understand who that person is and treating them as an individual. And this is where that personalization aspect comes in, building trust and understanding with your customer and really differentiating their experience in the market from other providers and other ways of digital channels to keep the consumer attention. And that's where a brand like Genting and also U-Mobile have really invested in technology to be able to manage this digital customer experience and maintain that long-term trust.
That's a very good sharing on the future of digital experience. Again, for Simon Dale, the Managing Director, Adobe C and Korea, definitely fantastic to have you here, and we'll see you again in the future. And Niaga AWANI will be taking a short break and we'll be right back.
Here we are in Qatar then, for the first time ever.
It's set up to be a fascinating race.
It's lights out and away we go. Verstappen from 7th to 2nd.
Hamilton clearly out front. He'll take some beating from there.
This is destroying Bottas's race. Hamilton on top in Qatar. Fernando Alonso back on the podium in Formula One.
Strong like what? Warrior stance like what? Warrior sign like what? Yeah, fire sign blaze like what? I make the bad gal rose. I don't watch what the next gal do. I be bossy, don't call me rude. I be love, hope, and happiness.
From timeless classics to today's chart toppers, Light, Mix and Hits has it all.
Di dalam setiap berita yang dibawa, konteks amat penting. Cara kita mendapat berita kian berubah. Melalui media sosial maupun saluran digital yang lain serta kaca TV. Kami sentiasa membawakan yang tergempar dan terkini.
Ini perkembangan yang baru kami terima.
Berteraskan acuan verifikasi yang diamalkan supaya setiap fakta adalah sahih. Daripada analisis pelbagai sudut yang mendalam, laporan-laporan khas dan perbincangan yang membina negara. Inklusif, suara rakyat kami ajukan. Keseimbangan persepsi kami pastikan. Kerana setiap cerita mempunyai impak yang tersendiri dan perlu dibawa dengan penelitian yang terperinci. Pastikan Astro AWANI menjadi pilihan anda tidak kira di mana sahaja anda berada. Saluran berita paling dipercayai di Malaysia.
Sebenarnya digital ekonomi itu boleh dilakukan di peringkat ASEAN dan juga di beyond ASEAN ini.
Infrastruktur penunjang teknologi, backbone-nya itu bisa menjadi lebih kuat.
Why is this belief still around, especially when talking about Islam?
It means that you should be free to do what you want as long as you don't impinge on the liberty of others.
Mengapa kerajaan dan M10 memilih jabatan perangkaan?
Jadi dengan adanya integrasi ini kita akan dapat melihatkan real situasi.
Agenda Awani setiap hari di Astro Awani dan Astro Go.
Ada drama yang merungkai misteri tersembunyi.
It's not about basketball. It's about winning. Better watch out.
Kisah pengembaraan hebat.
I am Puss in Boots.
Okay.
There's something out there calling to me.
Hayalan.
Not me, the prince. You gotta kiss the prince.
Malah pembunuhan.
Gotta get her talk. We can just girl talk.
You guys okay out here? Hey, Mama. Yeah, we're like working.
I don't think so.
Di mana jua bila-bila masa anda perlukan seorang wira.
He's done it again.
Dengan hanya satu klik, stream pelbagai kisah dan wira-wira hebat di satu tempat. Astro baru, switch sekarang.
Assalamualaikum, salam hormat. Anda bersama saya Haris Ashraf Hasnan seiring dengan Khazanah Megatrends Forum 2023 ini. Sudah tentu kita nak meneliti di sebalik kita nak mengejar pembangunan moden. Pada masa sama, kita perlu teliti juga tapak-tapak warisan budaya kita dan juga bagaimana kita nak memeliharanya dan memastikan kesaling hubungan pembangunan itu wujud di antara moden dan juga warisan itu perlu dikekalkan pada masa sama. Dan kalau kita bercakap soal nak menjaga warisan ini, kalau kita telitikan bangunan Sultan Abdul Samad menelan kos jutaan ringgit sebenarnya untuk memeliharanya dalam tempoh setahun sahaja sebenarnya untuk kos setahun. Tetapi itu baru satu. Bagaimana lagi tempat-tempat lokasi-lokasi tapak warisan yang lain? Inilah perkara yang akan saya bawakan dalam perbincangan ini untuk kita meneliti bagaimana kita nak membawa keseimbangan itu dan juga pada masa sama kita tidak meminggirkan pembangunan moden. Jadi bersama dengan saya Cikgu Salma Nasution yang merupakan mantan Presiden Penang Heritage Trust. Miss Ku, terima kasih sudi bersama dengan Astro Awani. Pertama sekali, mungkin you boleh kongsikan pandangan you berdasarkan pengalaman you yang telah pun mendedikasikan kerjaya you dalam bidang keseimbangan pembangunan dan juga pemeliharaan warisan ini. Mungkin you boleh kongsikan apa sebenarnya cabaran utama Malaysia dalam nak mengimbangi pembangunan moden dan juga pada masa sama kita menjaga warisan kita ini.
Boleh kata ancaman yang utama terhadap warisan adalah tak kenal maka tak cinta.
Okey.
Jadi saya rasa bahawa warisan itu sudah diketepikan. Bahawa ini hanya berkaitan dengan budaya. Tetapi kerja adalah berkaitan dengan industri, dengan kewangan dan sebagainya. Jadi tapi untuk kehidupan sebagai manusia, budaya dan juga alam tak boleh dipisah daripada jiwa, kan?
Betul, ya.
Dan juga dengan begitu juga dengan bahasa dan ilmu. So budaya adalah sebahagian daripada identiti kami. Identiti kita sebagai satu masyarakat yang pelbagai kaum dan masyarakat mendani. Ya.
Mungkin you melihat dari segi perbandaran, kalau kita lihat dia, proses pembangunan perbandaran itu pesat dilakukan. Kalau kita lihat, kalau kita telitikan dengan dasar-dasar baharu yang diumumkan kerajaan juga, New Industrial Master Plan dan pelbagai lagi, pada masa sama bagaimana kita nak inject elemen untuk mengekalkan warisan itu dalam dasar-dasar baharu seiring dengan pembangunan ini. Mungkin ada tips ataupun best practices yang boleh kita belajar.
Ya. Untuk pemeliharaan warisan, actually the front line, the first step adalah perancangan. So perancangan perbandaran yang setiap bandar ada rancangan tempatan. Kecuali sekarang saya rasa negeri Pulau Pinang adalah negeri yang terakhir yang belum menggazet lagi rancangan tempatan. Local plan. Kerana dalam Akta Bandar dan Desa, Town and Country Planning Act, kita ada rancangan struktur, rancangan tempatan untuk melindungi aset budaya dan juga aset semula jadi. Dan itu adalah melalui satu proses demokrasi, kita boleh masyarakat mengambil bahagian dalam rancangan tempatan untuk mengenal pasti warisan dan untuk memprioritaskan warisan yang paling penting. Ya, so kemudian kita perlu institusi. Institusi macam museum, Jabatan Warisan dan juga institusi yang lain yang menjaga warisan, yang menjaga warisan sama ada warisan perbandaran, warisan open space, tanah lapang, warisan semula jadi. Dan kemudian kita yang dalam proses mengendalikan bandar adalah kita boleh mengambil macam we know about which are the priority. So actually planning itu sangat mustahak kerana kalau kita sekarang our society is centered around kereta. So apa-apa juga kena make way for road expansion, kereta. Dan banyak warisan dan juga tempat semula jadi dirosakkan kerana itu. So kalau kita boleh shift kepada public transport, pengangkutan awam, maka kita ada banyak tempat lapang, tempat yang boleh dijaga. So itu adalah, I think that is the most fundamental strategy that we have to shift to public transport, pengangkutan awam, supaya kita ada bandar yang lebih mampan.
Itu baru satu contoh. Banyak lagi perkara-perkara lain yang perlu diberi tumpuan. Di sebalik kita mengejar pembangunan, adakah itu dilihat sebagai satu ancaman kepada Malaysia dalam nak mengejar pembangunan ini? Adakah ianya menjadi satu ancaman kepada tapak-tapak warisan, mungkin lokasi-lokasi strategik yang mungkin sebelum ini tidak dipandang dalam projek pembangunan, tetapi apabila kita nak meneruskan pembangunan yang moden ini, akhirnya tapak-tapak warisan itu mungkin diancam akibat pembangunan.
Kerana itu kita mesti pertamanya mengenal pasti yang mana tapak warisan. Dan ada juga tapak warisan yang peringkat nasional yang harus dijaga oleh kerajaan, so macam bangunan Sultan Abdul Samad. Ada juga tapak warisan peringkat negeri. Bukan nasional, bukan untuk seluruh negara, tetapi peringkat negeri yang boleh dijaga oleh kerajaan negeri ataupun oleh majlis perbandaran. Dan ada juga warisan yang untuk family, untuk keluarga, untuk keluarga kaum. Dan yang itu kita perlukan more private involvement.
Menyebut berkenaan dengan lokasi ataupun tapak-tapak warisan, kita menyebut sama ada ianya tanggungjawab persekutuan negeri maupun di peringkat PBT sekalipun. Saya mengambil contoh Kilim Geoforest Park di Langkawi. Pernah satu ketika dahulu, few years back, saya pernah membuat laporan kawasan itu yang dicemari dengan tapak sampah yang incinerator tidak berfungsi, akhirnya mungkin menjejaskan status UNESCO di tapak tersebut. Jadi bagaimana you melihat moving forward, menuju ke hadapan, apa yang perlu dilakukan dalam kita nak sinergi kerjasama antara, for example, kerajaan persekutuan, negeri dan juga PBT, kerana akhirnya ketiga-tiga peringkat kerajaan ini penting dalam pertama merancang, seperti disebut tadi, merancang pembangunan, dan juga akhirnya adalah dari segi pelaksanaan, implementation, execution.
Biasanya kalau untuk Penang dan persekutuan, dulu kerajaan yang lain kan, tapi sekarang kerajaan yang sama. Jadi saya rasa tak begitu susah untuk coordination. Tetapi kalau macam kerajaan lain di peringkat negeri. Tapi saya rasa untuk demi warisan, demi perlindungan alam, di mana-mana pun kerajaan negeri dan kerajaan persekutuan akan bekerjasama.
Ya, kalau kita melihat juga dari segi sebagai contoh Malaysia yang sedang giat membangun, adalah sebuah negara membangun pada ketika ini. Bagaimana best practices? Mungkin ada negara-negara lain ataupun contoh di lokasi lain, adakah Jepun ke sebagai contoh, mungkin berdasarkan pengalaman you, apa best practices yang boleh kita belajar negara lain yang boleh menjadi contoh kepada Malaysia dalam perkara ini, situasi ini?
Okey, untuk macam pemeliharaan bangunan memang susah. Dan saya rasa untuk macam bangunan swasta, rumah, kita mesti adakan satu macam private public partnership untuk membuat satu housing trust. Housing trust itu macam yang macam non-profit lah, tapi boleh didirikan dengan kerjasama beberapa pihak dan menerima macam grant daripada kerajaan, tapi mereka akan memberi insentif saja pada pemilik swasta untuk memperbaiki secara long term lah, untuk maintenance bangunan-bangunan swasta. Dan ini adalah satu cara kerana macam aset-aset warisan itu juga membawa pelancong. Jadi ada kepentingan negeri ataupun negara dalam memelihara aset-aset itu.
Generate income juga.
Ya, generate income juga dan encourage the local economy. Ya, dan yang local economy, cultural economy. So it is very important that there is a lot of cooperation and institutionalization of the cooperation. So satu best practice saya lihat di negara-negara lain, daripada kecil sekali mereka dah expose kanak-kanak kepada warisan budaya. Jadi warisan budaya itu sebahagian daripada pendidikan. Sekarang kita tanya mengapa, tak rasa banggakah tentang warisan sendiri? Mengapa macam orang Malaysia lebih suka diam di negara lain? Misalnya lah. Dan saya rasa kebanggaan dan involvement in heritage mesti bermula daripada kecil. Dan mengapa mereka anak-anak kita tidak expose kepada heritage? Dalam sekolah, dulu kami ada school excursion. Sekarang tak ada lagi. Mengapa? Kerana jalan-jalan terlalu penuh dengan kereta. So guru-guru rasa tak selamatlah untuk membawa school excursion. So banyak masalah yang berpunca daripada kereta. Itulah yang saya kata. Kalau kita nak menjaga alam, kita nak menjaga warisan, kita mesti handle this transport and traffic problem. And the only way, even for untuk perubahan iklim kan, kita mesti mengalihkan lebih ramai orang to public transport, pengangkutan awam.
Kelakar sangat apabila seorang pensyarah boleh buat sesuka hati dia. Tapi bila pelajar cuba untuk dapat keadilan, dia kena hukum.
Anyway, sekarang kita orang tengah cari lead singer. Kau nak join tak?
Nama I Suzy. I sebenarnya sangat-sangat impressed dengan performance korang tadi.
Awak sudah mencemarkan nama seorang pensyarah yang belum terbukti bersalah.
Selamat pagi semua. Saya Prof. Hamzah.
Komen saya ialah orang tua gatal si pecabul haram jadah tu boleh pergi mampus.
Justice that this institution did not provide for in the first place.
Forgive me, Father. Kita kena lawan.
Riot, Rebel with a Cause. Stream new episodes every Friday on demand and Astro Premiere.
Sedar atau tidak, dunia kini sedang menghadapi krisis tenaga elektrik. Sejak dari tahun 2021 hingga pertengahan 2022, kita menyaksikan kesan ketara kenaikan harga elektrik di seluruh dunia. Di Malaysia juga tidak terkecuali. Tetapi rakyat tidak pernah merasa sebarang kenaikan kerana subsidi yang diberikan berulang kali. Namun, sampai bilakah kita mampu bertahan? Sebagai pengguna, kita boleh membantu negara menangani krisis tenaga ini dengan menggunakan elektrik secara bijak dari sekarang.
Perkembangan situasi semasa.
Beberapa negara di selatan Asia Tenggara dijangka dilanda jerebu berikutan pengesanan 353 titik panas.
Kerajaan akan membincangkan soal caj transaksi duit Now QR dalam mesyuarat khas.
Setiap suara pasti didengar.
Perdana Menteri mengakui wujud keresahan berkaitan kenaikan harga barangan yang memberi kesan kepada perbelanjaan rakyat.
Ikuti segalanya hanya di Awani 745.
Antara satu perkara yang menarik juga seperti yang saya membuka perbincangan kita tadi adalah dari segi funding, kos. Kerana kos untuk memelihara ini memerlukan dana yang cukup besar. Jutaan ringgit untuk satu bangunan Sultan Abdul Samad sahaja setahun. Banyak lagi tapak-tapak lokasi yang lain. Adakah kita berdepan dengan situasi itu, iaitu permasalahan dari segi limited funding. Kita tidak mempunyai financial support yang mencukupi. Bagaimana you melihat perkara ini? Adakah ia adalah satu realiti dan juga permasalahan yang besar kepada Malaysia?
Funding itu memang susah daripada dulu. Tetapi saya lihat ada banyak bangunan warisan yang sudah dipelihara dan kemudian dalam 10 tahun kena perbaiki lagi. So kerana proses pemeliharaan itu kurang sempurna. Okay, so dan memang kerana dia perlukan keterampilan, pertukangan, seni bina dan sebagainya yang cukup kompleks dan susah. Jadi bagaimana kita boleh mewujudkan tim-tim yang ada kepakaran yang betul, yang tepat untuk menangani pemeliharaan bangunan. So that's why I feel that macam public private initiative to set up this housing trust and restoration team yang mereka start dengan projek yang kecil dan tiap tahun mereka akan mengembang. So this is like a rehabilitation agency. Actually this is how it's done. Rehabilitation daripada beberapa bangunan, kemudian mereka mendapat menjadi cekap dalam proses ini dan mereka akan memperkembangkan untuk include more and more buildings dan satu demi satu each of the building have to be restored. Warisan itu macam itu. Kerana warisan budaya bukan senang memang. Dan that's why we need to create many teams that improve, that learn from each other. And that are handling all this heritage improvement and maintenance. Dan yang penting sekali adalah preventive maintenance. Preventive maintenance dalam Inggeris kita kata a stitch in time saves 9. So kalau baju ada lubang, kita cepat-cepat repair. Dan kalau tidak, lubang itu akan menjadi besar. Dan bila bumbung ada sudah leaking, bocor yang kecil. Kita cepat repair dan down pipe saya pernah lihat bangunan kerajaan. Dia kata okey, tunggulah budget tahun depan. Kemudian tahun depan tahun ini tak ada budget. Tahun depan lagi, tahun depan. So yang kebocoran yang barangkali perlu berapa ratus ringgit untuk sedikit saja dalam 5 tahun sudah menjadi kena pelihara seluruh bangunan. So this is happening all the time. Even with bangunan kerajaan, what more with the private sector houses, So this is the maintenance part is so important. Dan ada juga banyak itu macam tukang-tukang yang mereka boleh di-upgrade supaya they can deal with heritage building. And this also create job. kan?
Yes.
Livelihood untuk those people who now they are just repairing and they can be upgraded.
Dan kalau kita telitikan di universiti-universiti awam juga banyak juga kursus dan juga latihan yang ditawarkan kepada individu ataupun mereka yang minat dalam bidang pemeliharaan bangunan dan sebagainya. Jadi mungkin Malaysia tidaklah kekurangan individu ataupun pakar dalam pemeliharaan bangunan ini. Okey, saya nak bawa perbincangan kita melihat kepada akhirnya kita nak ada keseimbangan, the balance between economic development, okey, dan juga heritage preservation. Ini dua perkara yang perlu streamline together, perlu diselarikan. Apa yang boleh dilakukan dalam kita nak balancekan perkara ini, pembangunan ini akhirnya? Miss Ku.
Okay, so saya rasa sekarang apa yang mudah orang faham adalah sumbangan daripada pelancongan. So pelancongan memang tempat-tempat warisan yang membawa pelancong, dan pelancong itu juga belanja bukan saja di tempat itu tapi di seluruh kawasan itu. So this is what people understand, that heritage brings tourism. Tapi warisan itu juga penting untuk pembangunan budaya sendiri.
Betul.
So this is tidak boleh dipisahkan daripada pembangunan. Saya rasa macam itu. Dan macam misalnya pemeliharaan alam, pertamanya kita kata tak apa, kita tebang dulu, kemudian kita akan kita kena membangun. Tetapi kita sekarang sudah lihat kita tak boleh mengorbankan alam, kerana kita sudah sampai tahap itu bahawa sekarang ada perubahan iklim dan sebagainya.
Betul.
So kalau kita merosakkan dan mengorbankan warisan sendiri, kita akan come to a stage where kita tak boleh membangun lagi, kerana kita tak boleh go into the next level, which is knowledge, knowledge society. So sekarang kita mengorbankan. Bila sampai tahap itu, di mana aset-aset kami, di mana sumber-sumber untuk masyarakat yang berilmu, di mana? So kita kena daripada sekarang juga, that's why we need also workforce yang boleh handle the maintenance, dan macam built environment, dia macam satu hardware, macam kita ada komputer, ada hardware, ada software kan, dan pembangunan ilmu adalah software. I mean, kita perlukan satu cultural economy untuk menjanakan what do you call it, ilmu, creativity, social innovation, cultural creativity dan sebagainya. So itu adalah dasarnya, dan untuk melatihkan pertukangan, I feel that like vocational school. Mengapa vocational school kita tak ada kursus untuk melatihkan tukang-tukang yang mahir dalam pemeliharaan?
Penting juga untuk kita teliti, sebab Malaysia sebuah negara yang pelbagai kaum dan juga budaya ini. Kalau kita lihat orang asal, sama ada orang asli, suku-suku kaum di Sabah dan juga Sarawak, mempunyai budaya dan warisan yang cukup mewah sekali sebenarnya. Bagaimana nak dari segi nak menjaga, protect dan juga nak memastikan bahawa rights dari segi pembangunan budaya warisan itu dapat diteruskan melibatkan orang-orang asal ini, terutamanya yang berada di Sabah Sarawak, orang asli yang cukup sinonim, dan juga perlu membangunnya, perlu ada pembangunan moden juga pada masa sama budaya dan warisan mereka itu dikekalkan.
Memang macam Malaysia selalu ada program pembangunan, tapi ancaman yang terbesar adalah daripada tukar guna tanah. So dalam di bandar kereta, kalau di luar bandar itu kelapa sawit.
Pertanian. Tanah pertanian.
Pertanian okey, tapi kelapa sawit yang luas berkembang. So itu adalah satu ancaman. So first of all, kita mengurangkan ancaman kepada orang asli dan orang asal. Dan kemudian program social development dan sebagainya.
Ya, mungkin sebelum kita lebih kurang dalam 3-4 minit perbincangan kita ini lagi, harapan you sebagai individu yang terlibat secara langsung dalam pemeliharaan dan pemeliharaan warisan dan juga budaya Malaysia ini, your expectation, harapan you, apa mungkin low hanging fruits yang boleh disegerakan? Adakah dari segi kerjasama, you sebut PPP, public private partnership dan sebagainya, the low hanging fruits?
Okay, sekarang kerja saya sendiri, saya involved in cultural mapping, pemetaan warisan. Dan kami dah buat dulu-dulu typing Ipoh, Teluk Intan. Sekarang kami buat dan Penang lah. Dan sekarang kami buat Kuala Kangsar dan Alor. So dengan peta-peta ini, saya harap bahawa orang ramai dan juga anak-anak sekolah boleh dengan senang, dengan instantly boleh recognize the heritage, dan dia boleh visualize the historic center yang memang penuh dengan budaya, dan mencari strategi untuk membangunkan local economy, sama ada dengan pelancongan ataupun dengan budaya gastronomi, makanan. And ini berkait juga dengan kita mesti kita boleh menanam makanan sendiri. So agriculture is actually part of our tradition. So this regenerative agriculture yang baru, bukan saja menanam kelapa sawit, tetapi yang pelbagai, yang organik dan sebagainya. Dan ini menjadi satu makanan yang istimewa dan can bring a lot of visitors because untuk melihat dan juga untuk mengalami satu cara hidup yang istimewa.
And of course boleh counter isu keterjaminan food security issue juga. Itu akhirnya dia akan membantu. Dia ada banyak lagi bagaimana kita mampu untuk menyelesaikan pelbagai lagi permasalahan yang ada. Okey, Miss Ku, mungkin pada masa ini sebagai individu yang terlibat, mungkin ada your next project apa antara fokus selepas ini untuk projek mapping ini?
Yang sekarang saya buatlah pemetaan ini kedua.
Mungkin ada lokasi-lokasi yang tertumpu selepas ini?
Saya haraplah kalau boleh untuk boleh membuat pemetaan untuk banyak lagi bandar-bandar kecil yang memerlukan this kind of attention and what do you call it, visualization. Dan ini adalah satu cara pembangunan yang lebih holistik. Bukan saja pembangunan di sebelah sini, budaya di sebelah situ, alam itu alam, tapi kita akan membawa the best of development.
Together dia disekalikan, streamline together di dalam pembangunan itu, keseimbangan antara pembangunan ekonomi, pembangunan pelindungan warisan dan sebagainya. Okey, terima kasih Miss Ku yang berkongsi pandangan. Rasa macam tak puas, banyak lagi nak cerita sebenarnya. Miss Ku Salma Nasution yang merupakan mantan Presiden Penang Heritage Trust, dan sudah tentu keseimbangan itu perlu ada dan perlu diwujudkan juga dari segi kesedaran dan juga pendidikan itu juga perlu bermula di peringkat seawal usia kanak-kanak. Okey, baik, sekian sahaja perkongsian untuk waktu ini. Saya Haris Ashraf Hasnan. Assalamualaikum. Salam hormat.
Asia tumpuan utama dunia. Dengan ekonomi yang semakin rancak, pembangunan lestari dan tenaga boleh diperbaharui, apakah pula impak kecerdasan buatan AI dalam perkembangan teknologi dan masa depan pekerjaan? Kami mendalami setiap berita dan cerita. Saksikan diskusi, dialog dan laporan khas di Agenda Awani Asia bersama koresponden khas kami setiap Sabtu 9 malam di semua platform Astro Awani.
Health Ministry will investigate allegations of baby snatching cases at a government hospital in Sabah. Malaysia aims to reach the target of 1 organ donor per million population soon.
Private health facilities are allowed to hire foreign-trained nurses without a post-basic qualification starting October 1st.
Malaysia will finalize guidelines for rocket launching capabilities by October.
besar, pasti ada punca dan dalangnya. Tugas kami untuk mencari, mendengar dan membongkar sebarang isu atau masalah agar ada penyelesaian. Setiap sudut akan diteliti, penjelasan semua pihak akan diamati. Tiada fakta yang akan disembunyi.
Kita bongkar semua, dedah sampai habis.
Mendedahkan kepincangan, rasuah dan masalah rakyat jadi tanggungjawab yang kami galas. 501 bongkar, terpaling dedah.
3, 2, 1. Bersedia dengan kamera anda. 7 Oktober, 4 petang, Pavilion KL. Kami menantikan anda.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Ibrahim Sani. We're talking about the budget 2024. We're also talking about iJam 2023 that is happening currently at the Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre from the 4th to 6th. We're also talking about the energy transition conversation of Malaysia. So here to unpack all of the above is our good friend of the show, Dr. Rizal Khairi Ahmad, the CEO of Nano Malaysia Berhad. Rizal, thanks again for gracing us and gracing the studio.
Pleasure to be here.
The National Energy Transition Roadmap is actually a big conversation that needs to be had. Very recently, Rafizi Ramli talked about 1.85 trillion ringgit investment possibility from 10 catalytic activities. One of them is, of course, energy transition. On one hand, that is a number that I think is needed, 1.85 trillion, to move from the country from whatever energy that we have right now to a cleaner energy. On the other hand, if you want to attract 1.85 trillion up until 2050, you're looking at 100 to 200 billion of either direct domestic investment or FDI into this space.
Correct.
Sounds lofty, no?
Achievable, I must say, because you're talking about a 3-decade trajectory. And when you look at the National Energy Transition Roadmap itself, to be part of the bigger picture of the Madani economy, even the economy in general. So when you start to slice them on a bite-sized 5-year program, every RM case, I think it's something that we can achieve step by step. When we look at some of those pillars that contributes to NETR, National Energy Transition Roadmap, we have multiple pillars, contribution or tributaries. So we have the long-standing solar. We have hydro, which is one of those mainstay in Sarawak, and some parts in Malaysia per se. And now with the advent of hydrogen, which is the buzz of the town and the buzz of the world, I'm sure it will be a much discussion topic at the next COP, which is in the Middle East soon, in November. And when you look at those, the context of those tributaries or contributors to the bigger picture in the $1 trillion, I think it's achievable. But what is required, I would like to quote Tan Sri Hassan Americans when we had a session with him, is we need to make sure that all of these so-called sub-ecosystem, they have some synergy. Because no subcategory of energy transition can exist on its own or in vacuum. For example, if I would jump the gun a bit, hydrogen, green hydrogen, I think we did touch on this matter
at length, but I want to talk more about H2 economy as well.
So when you look at hydrogen per se, when you go to green hydrogen, you must tap onto renewable sources. Renewable sources will be either hydro or solar. So those sectors need to interact. So there's no such thing as one particular pillar existing in vacuum.
Yeah, but of course, a fellow counterpart agency from another ministry, the Green Tech Malaysia Alliance, for instance, they're trying to bring A to Zero ASEAN conversation into the picture. And it's not just about carbon emission cut down, but of course greenhouses cut down altogether, including methane and many other stuff. And then now you're talking about NETR and then the hydrogen economy that we need to explore even further. Does this even complement each other, or do you feel that there seems to be a lot of work in trying to create what Tan Sri Hassan was talking about, synergy? Must there be more conversations between these intra-ministerial agencies right now?
I would take that further. They shouldn't be just stopping at conversation, there need to be action.
I mean, we can have conversation.
Conversation is yes, but action is critical. So when we map out the roadmap, from time zero, 2023 to 2050. So we look at all of these individual components to have a good interaction with the respective ecosystem. So, for example, when you mention about do it again, synergy and whatnot, so that conversation must translate into real action to push the hydrogen agenda way forward in terms of having the economic gain. So early on, you talk about multi-trillion dollars, you need to have a good investment. But when we map out understanding the philosophy of a hydrogen economy technology roadmap, we need to understand that Malaysia needs to have some control over some of the key tools to ensure that to happen, which is why I would like to reiterate again, the roadmap was designed based on build some, buy some. So the build some, buy some concept is Malaysia need to have some technological sovereignty over certain component. People thought technology is just a tool. But number one, tool must be affordable, accessible, right? It must be sustainable, aligning to the energy trilemma, right? Exactly. So the tool is critical for you to make that jump. So Malaysia needs to have control at least half of the tool in order to create that whole ecosystem, the value chain from hydrogen generation, storage, transportation, storage again, and utilization. So the whole gamut must be. But the buy some concept allows for international players to come on board where we are able to get FDI, to socialize with DDI, to ensure that it is well synergized, to ensure that we have equity in the economy. Gone are the days that we are pursuing the old economic model where we just allow FDI to storm on the ground and dictate everything.
The clamour for dollars in this space is actually quite competitive. We're looking at our neighbours pursuing the same agenda as we are. As noble as it is in terms of every country single out to bring about zero emissions, we're also trying to force the same dollar to be invested in countries that might not necessarily have the same restrictions as we do. Yes, equity is actually quite important. Technology sovereignty is actually quite critical for us to move ahead. But other countries might not necessarily have the same kind of restrictions. Would we then part away with this very valuable dollars invested into this country because we're demanding so much from these kind of investors?
When you look at even before the much talk about NETR or HETR or whatnot, individually in a fragmented way, organizations already migrated toward ESG, SDG, you know, base or centric investment as such. So when we design the roadmap and having the roadmap on hydrogen pillar to contribute to zero carbon or carbon neutral by 2050 or early 2050, we designed it such that it's supposed to contribute an X amount. So that X amount is translated into X dollars in terms of investment and return on investment per se. So when you put all this together, establish the baseline for Malaysia as such, we understand how much is needed to invest. And with the organizing in Malaysia, such as the Subway Group, Khazanah, so on and so forth, even us, Nano Malaysia, we already put those ESG as a pillar. So that aligns well with some of the international monetary or funds for us to socialize our funds to pursue the same goal. Because we know for a fact, if there is no SG or ESG element in any business endeavor, project, initiative, the money will not come in. So when we have this roadmap as a mainstay in the whole economy Madani or economy general, the money will come in naturally. We have a clear roadmap towards where we want to go, carbon neutral, who are the key players. I think it's quite a shoe-in for us. We just need to get it beyond conversation. Action lah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's now focus a little bit more on the hydrogen economy and the hydrogen technology that drives economy Madani forward. Let's start from the basics first. Hydrogen and the rollout plan, as I understand it, it's going to be in Sarawak and it's going to be done in a big way. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And of course, we're looking at money coming into this space as well. What would be some of the focus that you're looking at when it comes to deploying hydrogen transition energy right now in Malaysia?
I mean, we are, like I said again, inspired by Sarawak. They had the foresight, they started early. They're probably like maybe 5 years ahead in terms of rolling out hydrogen.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I didn't know this.
Yeah, because when you look at Sarawak end-to-end, they have Bakun, which is very accessible and affordable electricity.
Yeah, but it's environmentally destructive.
Well, it's debatable. If you look at long-term gain in terms of how it went to build it, I think that the gain in terms of greenhouse gas emission avoidance, I think we stand to gain over long term.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so we have to look at it at the bigger picture.
Yeah, but cultural impact.
It's a long game lah. But when you look at
displacement of people,
but I'm sure there's some compensation towards that where they have offered some job opportunities in the green sectors. So moving downstream, when you look, they already have that resources established. Then you look at how you're able to tap onto that to create green hydrogen without CO2 emission. Then further going downstream, they started to have the showcase, the buses, the cars and whatnot.
Applications.
Yeah, application whatnot, like, which is critical to get the buy-in from people like you and me if you were to live in Sarawak. So in the same vein, the HETR, the Hydrogen Economy Technology Roadmap, has taken in that baseline, the template, into the bigger picture to make sure that it is inclusive to the whole of Malaysia, Semenanjung and the Bornean regions as such. So, but in Semenanjung, we don't have the luxury of hydroelectricity in that abundance, like in the gigawatts. So we have few pockets here and there.
In that abundance.
But we have LSS, large scale solar farm. So we have that already in place. They are supplying tenaga at a certain tariff rate, FIT and whatnot, but certain accesses, instead of having a large-scale battery, which is very expensive to begin with, there's an opportunity for that to be converted into long-term hydrogen storage, which does not offer any kind of leakage or degradation over a long period of time. And that hydrogen will offer long-term sustainable fuel in case for the future where we start to replace coal, natural gas, so on and so forth. But in Malaysia, Semenanjung Malaysia per se, we are putting in place some catalytic initiative under the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation through Nana Malaysia. We call it the Mobile Hydrogen Refueling Station. To a smaller scale of what Sarawak is doing, but it needs to be done. A nudge towards creating that value chain in Malaysia. So the refueling station will create the supply of H2. And that H2 comes from our friends from Petronas in Bangi, because they're already producing 50 kilogram of hydrogen per day. In that context, it is already oversupplied because there are no off-takers.
Okay.
Exactly. 50 kilogram is small. It's small. But because there are no off-takers,
so the supply is, however small it is, it's still an oversupply.
Therefore, we need to orchestrate the demand. So we are converting some of those buses through our partners into hydrogen fuel cell.
Is it Prasarana? I think I had the Prasarana bus CEO on my show talking about this.
Yeah, Prasarana conversion to hydrogen system. Then we have our partnership with Bifrost also converting to hydrogen. So we're creating that commercial sector to be.
But it's still, as you say just now, orchestrating demand.
Yeah, they are
not market force that's creating the demand.
Yes. When you are orchestrating, they already have captive market.
Okay.
Whether they are driving diesel-powered buses or trucks, they already captive market. So when you switch, they are able to generate revenue already. So this will be catalytical.
And hopefully it can permeate towards the market.
Exactly. So when you look at that, it's happening, captive market, validated. Then the investment will come in. Not just locally, but inshallah, overseas as well.
And because of this, we're looking at 2030 rollout, am I right, of hydrogen?
As early as 2030 in terms of the first major milestone. We look at hitting a national revenue of roughly about 12 billion ringgit.
Okay. And will this be enough for the country's need, and is this in tandem with the national energy transition roadmap?
Certainly. If you read, I'm sure you have read the NETR, right? It prominently featured hydrogen as one of the
as a core pillar.
Contributed to that bigger picture as such. So we align ourselves.
And part of that whole idea of, so far, I've interviewed so many people, the only person that is talking about energy sovereignty is you, Dr. Rizal. Maybe that needs to be permeated across the stakeholders as well. But in the same vein, do you feel that the technology equity on this particular energy source can be attained through through hydrogen?
It can, because before the world or Malaysia got really excited in the hydrogen, we already started investing.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody
knew what you were talking about even.
5 years ago, if I were to say we are building the solid state hydrogen technology where we are able to produce hydrogen on demand, people say, are you kidding me? Then if we were talking like 2 years ago, we are building national capability to build our own electrolyzer, which is a device that is able to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. People say, nah, you're being too ambitious. But now here it is. We are able to report that our anion exchange membrane electrolyzer is probably one of the best, or not the best in terms of efficiency. It's produced with our partnership with UKM, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, which people often see as the mecca of hydrogen innovation. So we have that. Even Petronas in Bangi, we made a visit to them. They're able to produce a very competitive proton exchange membrane electrolyzer, which is probably one of the best in the world. We already have that as a basis for our tech sovereignty aspiration, not as early as 2030 or even beyond. What we need is critical mass in terms of investment from the bigger players, to make that happen into...
Why don't you name some of them? What are the bigger players that you're looking at? What are the brands that you're thinking of right now?
Oh, of course, we are...
Is it Gentari? Is it Petronas?
Yeah, Gentari, we have a partnership with Gentari.
Yeah.
We are talking to them. In fact, we are at the final stage of putting some official arrangement to coexist and to complement each other in the hydrogen space as well. And once that's established, we establish that as a brownfield investment. We definitely will talk to Kesana Handai dan Dana Impact. Because right now, we have to make sure that it is palatable to their investment criteria. So we have to talk in terms of brownfield, linguistic terms. Greenfield, they'll be like, oh.
Yeah.
So brownfield. Demand is there, production or supply chain is there, a good baseline, good critical mass, then we bring it up to the bigger funders.
And of course the project is validated,
yes,
demand has been catalyzed.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's our job at our level. So people in Gentari, they are able to go a bit further upstream to work with us. Like pre-com, early stage commercial. I'm very thankful that they exist, so we can actually work together to initiate the early interest.
People are saying that the creation of Gentari is a moment too late. I never would like to argue that. I think it's every moment is timely.
Exactly. Even our existence, which predates the excitement in energy, we started to invest early. So when everything is already on the table, say, here we go, national IPs, we have the SMEs to back us up. We just need to go scale.
Okay. Talking about scale, you're going to need a lot of human beings to do the job. You're going to rely on a lot of AI to get the job done as well. So, are you shopping around? Are we having enough talent out there?
Talent-wise, I'm not too worried. Despite some of those doomsayers saying that we don't have enough interest in stamps and whatnot, the way I see it, taking us through this long game journey, right, 2050, you look at all the universities from UTM, UTP to Petronas to Jitang University, they are producing engineers in the droves. What we need to do is to supply them the right kind of jobs. So what we do is need to create the opportunities for them to jump on board. But at the same time, people think, are those jobs lucrative enough? Are we providing enough leadership role for them to be excited on?
Say, for instance, the engineer at Prasarana who has been working on diesel engines for the longest of time now needs to work on, say, hydrogen. That is the kind of job that needs to be created.
Yeah, exactly. But when you look about pre-existing so-called workforce,
you can reskilling, incumbents lah.
Incumbents, reskilling and upskilling. That also offers a huge business opportunity for training academies. For example, if you have been working in the hydrocarbon industry, there's hydrogen in that carbon.
Exactly. Except you want to move away from carbon.
Exactly. That carbon component, either you capture it, you store it, and you put it into good use. But the hydrogen part, you just push it out in the open to be burned as fuel, which is clean.
Are you working with training providers to equip them for that level of training and upskilling?
We have started to, because we in another parallel activity, we have presented to the government the white paper for EV conversion.
Yes.
That also covers...
I'm familiar with the white paper, unfortunately.
So that white paper is an effort to legalize conversion from ICE engine to...
That's right.
Electric. So that we are working with the likes of JKR to certify early pockets of workshop to be upskilled and reskilled, so they're able to convert.
Especially high density areas.
Yes. And then they just go to Puspacom or whatever it is, the process that will be allowed by MOT, tick. So that allows the existing so-called incumbents, as you said, to jump into the EV bandwagon, which hydrogen will play a subset of, because hydrogen fuel cell EV is part of that low carbon mobility blueprint that we aspire to contribute to low carbon.
Let's talk a little bit more about Budget 2024. There's a lot of wish list that has to be spoken of, particularly in folks like you guys from Malaysia and what you want to see there. The last time I had you on, you were talking about the shock that you had in terms of the allocation that you got. Thinking outside of Malaysia and work towards energy transition. What will be some of the wish lists that you want to see in this budget?
Wish list, it's more towards how we scale up opportunity based on local tax and local talents.
So you're talking about more money into, say, the startup ecosystem?
Yes, and beyond. Because tech and innovation is not restricted to just startup. Because the amount of work that we have done for the past, one RMK, the 11 Malaysia plan, and currently wading through the middle of the 12 Malaysia plan, I think 80-90% of our partners are SMEs. So getting the
80-90%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cajoling them, persuading them to jump onto the innovation bandwagon, and some of them are already working in the hydrogen space. Is no easy feat lah.
No.
Yeah. Because for them to be convinced that they need to go into the innovation beyond their day in day out, attending their bottom line needs, was quite an interesting challenge that we took up. So we managed to get some of them on board. I think we have about 60-70 of them already in our ecosystem. Okay, and push them in the right way, I think is critical, but now they need to scale up. They need to graduate beyond SME.
Specifically, what is it that you need? Like scale up, what do you mean? Like more money inside it? Like tax rebates, what?
I mean, the whole framework, government framework in terms of incentivization. For example, if you look at the US, which they have put in place the IRA, Inflation Reduction Act.
I don't know this.
Yeah, so they, especially for hydrogen, because they have recently launched...
What was it again?
The America, USA, I think in the month of June, they have launched their own hydrogen strategy. So they've done the whole value chain comprehensive nudge to get everyone to jump onto the hydrogen bandwagon. And one of them will be the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, which translates into some kind of incentive package for hydrogen producers, which amounting to about $3 per kilogram, every kilogram of hydrogen being produced.
Okay. So we can have that?
We can have something similar. So that is one part. But funding in terms of investment must also come into play, because for you to scale up, you need to buy capital equipment.
Yes, of course.
But we shouldn't be overly dependent on the government. So the whole private investment funds or GLICs and whatnot needs to play their role to make sure that this happens. So
how to incentivize them to play their role?
Right. That's the thing. That's the way we're trying to figure out. But we have some semblance of an idea to look into how the amount invested should give them some kind of tax rebate or whatnot.
So I'm going to ask you to out your boss right now. So the Minister of Science and Technology, Chan Lee Kang, and of course the Minister of NREG, Nazmi, they seem to be clued in into what needs to be done, both of them. However, they are facing a challenge where it is unlike any other compatriots that they have in other ministries. You know, they have to fight the everyday battles of, rising cost, food prices, food shortages, food security or insecurity at that point in time. Do you feel that they are going to be isolated in terms of trying to get the job done, or they might not necessarily have enough allies in the other cabinet members to get this done, or maybe only Rafizi sees this? Where do you see the whole interrelation between cabinet members and getting the job done?
If you look at Rafizi's portfolio, YB Rafizi is another cross-cutting.
Yeah, it cuts across the whole gamut.
Exactly. Then you have the SDI, it cuts across. If you to bring in YB Nazmi into the fold, energy cuts across. Anything requires energy to move. So these three fellas needs to really work hand in hand together to put everything in the right context, to work into creating this macroeconomic model and microeconomic model.
My fear is that they have to rely so much on internal motivation, because it's not like the house is on fire and therefore, like food price rises, and of course immediately you have to handle it. This is more of you need to have the internal motivation to get the job done.
Yeah, because while we are addressing food prices, trying to curtail it, people are talking about energy transition. Wouldn't it be expensive?
Yeah, exactly.
So the whole idea of having this macroeconomic model and microeconomic model, if you have to look from a household perspective. So one of my colleagues gave me this idea that when you look at a household microeconomic model, we call it Madani economic model, for example, as a working model. So every household will have to pay for energy regardless, via solar or fossil fuel or whatnot. So, and we know for a fact our fossil fuel industry is heavily subsidized.
Yes.
Okay. So in order for us to allow for everyone, people like you and me, wearing the average Joe hat, for us to transit, then there should be a transfer of subsidy. So the total cost of living remains the same. So for example,
but it's still 80 billion subsidy bill
but still the same. At least you can manage it for the time being, for the short term.
So it doesn't have a direct impact on my wallet size.
Exactly. So we need to work on that model, so for the short term, to allow for that transition to be smooth, while we work on a better model for us to reduce cost of living.
It's called transition for a reason.
Exactly. So that subsidy transfer needs to be put in place.
How do you think we're faring? The idea is good, right? I get
like I said, action speaks louder than words. So I'm sure the likes of YB Chan Lee Kang, YB Rafizi, and YB Azmi, I'm sure they have enough grey matter for them to work out. Obviously, myself, Nano Malaysia as a whole, we're ever ready to support, to articulate how the right mechanism to work. Because when we chart out the hydrogen roadmap from A to Z, There are various components, not only just mobility. We're talking about hydrogen even in food processing, electronics and whatnot. So it goes beyond what people think. We talk about hydrogen is just purely energy, and mobility is everything.
What's your view on punitive tax model like carbon tax right now? Do you think that that's a good idea?
Punitive, yes and no. So
you don't think it's punitive?
Yeah. The yes part, if you look at from the punitive measure, you need to have the carrot and stick. Every economic model will have the carrot and stick. So the carrot part is you motivate people when they have
subsidies, incentives, tax breaks.
Yeah, but when it comes to the stick, it's like if you don't do this, you'll be missing out on A, B, C, D, E. Maybe more funds, more assistance will be blocked because all of the governments, the investment institutions have jumped onto it. You don't have ESG, SDG, you're not part of it. I'm sorry. So that, in a way, is a punishment or punitive measure in itself, even though people don't see it that way.
My guest yesterday, Elena Jani of Green Tech, talked about an audit measure. That would be her wish list on the budget. Do you agree with that?
Audit measure? Well, audit is a good thing to have because it puts any organization to be fully transparent in what they do when it comes to their carbon emission, whatever they emit to the environment, and what they do with carbon. For example, from my point of view, people are so fearful of carbon. Yeah, but
shouldn't we be?
We are made of carbon. You and me, we are carbon-based organisms. So the fact that we are made of carbon shows that God have been trying to tell us that it's how you manage carbon is the key. Carbon is not the devil. We are. So when you are able to sequester carbon, put it to good use, carbon is benefiting. I would probably the next clarion call to the global economy is we're talking about recarbonization. How to introduce carbon into the circular economy to good use. When you capture the CO2 or CO or whatever it is, put them in good use, which is carbon fiber, graphene, carbon nanotube, advanced materials, so on and so forth. And you can even reconstitute material to whatever that you like.
Basically CCUS or carbon capture, utilization, and storage.
And you can create fertilizers, you can create food, carbohydrate, carbs.
So think about carbon in a different light, basically.
Yes. Carbon is our friend, not the enemy. So when it comes to back to the audit issue, I think when you go beyond that, you do think there's a comprehensive measure for you to participate in recarbonization. Decarbonization is the current buzz, but I'm looking at recarbonization to create that inclusivity to ensure that we are managing carbon.
That's my big takeaway from this conversation. The last one we had was what do you call that? Tax sovereignty. So now it's recarbonization.
I always come up with new types.
Final comments before we conclude our conversation, Dr. Riza?
So for me, don't be afraid of this energy transition. Embrace the change, be the change, and hydrogen is coming your way, whether you like it or not. Basically, have gone beyond the point of no return. We had many false starts in the past, since the 70s. It is here to stay, and I hope everyone will embrace the economy and technology rollout as much as I do. I'm excited, and everyone should be the same.
I mean, I'm excited as it is, but having a teenage daughter that is environmentally conscious is also a handful. I gotta deal with two issues now: environmentalism and my daughter. Thank you very much. That was Dr. Rizal Khairi Ahmad, the CEO of Nano Malaysia Berhad. You can learn more about Nano Malaysia and their work at their website or their social sites. Do check that out. Of course, Dr. Rizal is a prolific evangelist when it comes to the tech innovation and, of course, energy transition. So do check out his personal work at that as well. For now, that's all that we have. My name is Ibrahim Sani. Catch you in the next one.